is far more fun. Than anything on the Twitch page.
Okay, go ahead and talk now. Can you hear me right
Okay.
now?
Yeah, now okay, now it's coming through. But yeah, well, I don't think we were coming through on Twitch previously.
Okay. Well, we can restart. Can you hear me talking to you currently?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Is it like oddly delayed or something?
I was listening to the stream and this, but no, it sounds fine now.
Okay. Okay. Good. Sorry, guys. I had the audio messed up, and I could hear Templar, but you guys could not hear Templar, which means the recording probably couldn't hear you either. So you want to? Well, I guess we can. You want to start over? Start fresh?
Sure. Um, for those of you who are in chat, hello Saint Bear, hello Gwen Clark. We appreciate you being here. Quieter episode of the Roundtable today. Just Mark and I, Chino and Nav are both doing weddings. They're both at weddings. I was just mentioning that weddings in February is a bit of a foreign concept for me as a Canadian. But today we're just talking about Mark's experience at Galaxy's Edge, visit to Disney. A little bit about what we've been up to the last week, kind of outside of that, gaming wise, what we've been watching, and then we're just going to jump into the games, movies, TV, things that we're looking forward to for a bit later in the year. Like what's coming up, what are kind of the big releases that we're looking forward to, and are we excited for it? Are we not? Why not? And of course, as we talk about it, please share your own in the chat. What are you looking forward to this year, movie wise, game wise, TV wise, whatever? Music wise, I'm actually going to be talking about one album that's coming up in April that I'm actually quite looking forward to, which is relatively rare for me. I'm at a wedding too, but had to tune in. Well, I appreciate it, Saint Bear. I was saying before we were hoping to have you on this episode to talk about your own behind the scenes knowledge with Galaxy's Edge, but it'll have to happen another time. Yeah, I think that's basically catch up. It's all right. Kind of a more informal episode, so that's okay. So what I've been up to the last week? Well, I mentioned it last week, I think, but I finished the Dresden Files. So I finished book 17.
Wow,
In
dude, you
that
powered through those things.
I did, yeah. I don't remember when I started, like middle of December. So I guess it was about I read what 17 books in 2 months. Um, and then I read or maybe the beginning of December. I'm not sure, but yeah, I was really into them. They were a lot of fun. They're not overly long. I mean, 400 pages each, but they just, you can just breeze through them. I think the character design in them was very good. I really like the progression, and I think the story's building to something quite interesting. Of course, the downside of doing that and not say taking my time going through them is now the series isn't done. Like so now I'm just stuck waiting for the next book in the series to come out. And at least last time he released two at once, so maybe that'll happen again. But I'm not sure when the next couple in the series are coming out. So maybe I should have paced myself a little more, but I was really into it. So hey.
It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of. There's 17 books. Like quick math. If they averaged, how many pages do you think they averaged? Like 350.
Yeah, probably 350,
I mean,
375,
that's
something like that.
5,950 pages of reading, probably bare minimum in the last like 2 months. It's a lot
Yeah,
of reading.
something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of what I've been doing. I haven't I mean, I've been playing a bit of stuff here and there, but like generally when I have time, which I've had a fair bit of time in the last couple months, I've just been reading instead of, I've watched some stuff and played a bit and whatever, but mostly I've been reading. Hello, Taylor, welcome in. So yeah, so I finished those, and then I also read two more books that are sort of like short stories from the same world that were put together. Those are a little on the shorter side. Um, So now I need to figure out what I'm going to read from here on. So if anyone has any suggestions in the chat about something, I'm ideally maybe looking for something also in fantasy, but either like a short series but a short series that's done, or like a standalone book, because there doesn't tend to be a lot of standalone stuff in fantasy. I find like everything is like um everything is like huge series, right? Like Wheel of Time or something that I started reading. Like I read that when I was in high school, at least what had been done up to that point. But like I don't want to read 15 books again right now. And those books are even longer because those ones are like some of them are like 600-700 pages and more. So if anyone has like a nice trilogy, like I know there's like Lord of the Rings, but something else, like a nice trilogy or like two book series that's done, or like even just like a single standalone book that they want to recommend, I'd be happy to hear your suggestions. Reading over 5,000 pages in a couple of months sounds like a nerd. I mean, you ain't wrong, Saint Bear. Also sounds like someone with too much time on their hands, and that's also correct. So, you know, I'm working on that. I'm working on making that less the case, though. Really need to work on these notifications in Discord because, like, they consistently take about 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes before they pop up. I have to see about if I can fix that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It is up now though. It is up now. I
No.
started the Malazan Book of the Fallen. I don't know if you've read that or you've ever dug into
I
it.
read the first 5 or 6 books in it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many there are in that, but I think I read randomly
10.
book 4. It was really hard to process
Oh.
because I did not read books 1, 2, or 3, and I only got book 4 because I met a guy on a plane who like just carried around copies of the books because he liked them so much to give to people, and he gave me a copy of book 4, and so I tried to read it, and I think I got about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through it before I gave up, and like never knew. But it did spark and inspire a really sort of horror esque sort of themed like Burning Wheel tabletop RPG game that I ran for a while. So it was
Burning
obviously
Wheel's the
inspiring.
really Burning Wheel's the really like gritty, sort of granular one where you have to deal with a lot of like regular stuff and you're not like superhuman, right? Like you get injured and it's like a big deal in Burning Wheel, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's labeled as one of the more hyper realistic RPGs. It's very Tolkien-esque if you like dove into like deep into Tolkien lore. Dwarves dealing with greed, elves dealing with sorrow and song, men, marching forward with the banner of progress type of thing. It is a really intense system. It's not even like remotely balanced. Like characters can be vastly different power levels, and
Hmm.
but it is in my opinion, for a long time I thought it was the best RPG ever. Now trying to go back to it, it is a really hard RPG to go back to for me, just because it is like
Hmm.
it is so intensely gritty and so intensely like rules heavy, that I mean you
Hmm.
can get into a battle and it can be over in a couple of minutes, but your character could also then require 3 months to heal.
Huh.
So it is like in game 3 months. Like you have to figure out what you're doing for 3 months. It is a really great, really, really, really good system. But I have ones that I like that sort of scratch a similar itch, but I think do it in a way that's a little bit more consumable now than Burning Wheel. But yeah, I played Burning Wheel based off of that book series, specifically the book House of Chains, which is number
Yep.
4.
I forget how many of them I read. I read them when I was working at Ford one summer, and I read like 4 or 5 of them working on the line, just a couple pages at a time in between cars.
Hmm.
Um, so it was fun. I didn't end up finishing it, but I found that series really well done. I thought the world building was really excellent. Um, but yeah, it was a cool series. I might go back to it, but I think that one's like 10 or 12 books as well. Um, hello Tex Holden, Bougie, Yo Yo Yo. Gwen Clark Damon by Daniel Suarez, 2 book series, Damon and Freedom. Okay, I can check that out. Yeah. Saint Bear says I have lots of book recommendations, but most of them are all nonfiction. I mean, that's okay too. I have a book called Extreme. Not sure where I put it, but called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. So that's probably the next what I'm going to read in terms of nonfiction now, for a bit. And then, but I do want to get into some more fantasy, but I don't want to jump into another like 15 book series
Sure.
right away. I want to take a little bit of time. I did download the RPG, which I mentioned before. It's in the Fate system
Yeah.
for the Dresden Files. Um, and now that I finished it, I can actually look at it because there's no spoilers really for me. I don't know. The Fate system seems really different. I don't know what I think of it yet. I have to get into it more. I was trying to sort of absorb the gist of it. Um, like Burning Wheel, not at all. It does. I don't think at all in terms of like how gritty it is, but there are vastly different power levels between the different types of characters you can play. So part of it is you have to pick like scale. So like what kind of scope or scale do you want the adventure you're in to be? Because you have everything from like beat cops who know a little bit about like ghosts and stuff to like angels and like demigods and like
Yeah.
so like the power disparity can be pretty massive, so you kind of have to figure out the scope of the story that you want to tell. So I'm going to spend some more time with it. Maybe I'll end up doing something with it, but Station 11 is a great book that isn't a series. Apocalyptic in terms of like biblical apocalypse, or apocalyptic in terms of like dystopian, like that sort of thing. Slightly technical. Hello. I have extreme leadership and extreme ownership from Jocko. Oh, there's two of them. I believe I have extreme ownership. I think that was his first one, right? That's the one I'm gonna start soon.
Mm.
St. Beer, I'm reading Everybody Always by Bob Goff, and no surprise, it's just so good.
Yeah, and
I don't know anything about the.
Bob
I don't
Goff
know
has
that
written a
one.
lot of really good books. I think I can't remember what his most recent one is, but it was the one that sort of booted me over the edge into starting Lux, and so and that
Hmm.
one I cannot. I'm right now. I'm reading Live No Lies by John Mark Comer, and it's good. It's very good. Love
Okay.
Does is like the one that he's known for. Bob Goff is like the one that put him on the map. But
Okay.
the two more recent ones that I've read are Dream Big, and that one I read in 2020. And then since I started Lux, I read Undistracted, which is also a really good book. It's Undistracted, Capturing Your Purpose, Rediscovering Your Joy. I don't read a lot of fiction. I don't think I've read fiction since maybe high school. I've pretty much
Hmm.
read all like leadership, ministry, thought books, spiritual formation stuff for the most part. So I just don't have any. I would like it. I did read like half of a Dritz novel a couple of years ago that
Sure.
I found inside of a like it's a library box in like a public park where like people just put books in there and like you're supposed to put a book in when you take one out, and I just saw the Dritz novel, so I just took it out, and I'm pretty sure it's still in my bedside like table. I think I still have
Using
it.
the system.
Yeah, then I found someone who reads the books to me while I mow the grass or drive my car, and so I just didn't
Oh,
read
sure.
fantasy that anymore. So
Audible or something like that.
this was just
Um,
literally a podcast for the Dritz novels, so I don't even know how it's legal, but yes.
oh, right, right, right. Um, so everybody always, yeah, I saw a movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once. Maybe that's a sequel. Tex Holden, no, like dystopian and disease causes the world to shut down. That feels a little too close to home. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to read. Is that fiction? Is that fiction? I don't. I don't know
That's
about that
like
one.
when the pandemic hit, the the board game company that makes the board game Pandemic and Pandemic
Pandemic.
Legacy, was coming out with Pandemic Legacy Episode Zero, which predated Pandemic Season One, and
Oh,
it was literally it was a coronavirus variant that was sweeping the globe, and
oh no.
it was so scarce, it was so scary accurate to what actually happened that they literally changed
Oh,
the narrative to like a war narrative or something like that, and maybe it wasn't number
sure.
zero, it was something else, but they like completely restructured the game and rethemed it because it was so close to the actual 2020 pandemic.
The actual reality that we were living in.
Yeah, like the one that we were
uh,
currently in. Yes.
Station 11 is a TV show. No, that sounds interesting. I mean, that might be cool. Um, is it like zombie stuff or it's just like a disease? So like, is it boring? Because if it's just a disease, that's kind of boring. If it turns people into zombies, then that's more fun. My pastor is a thief. Oh, the horror. Bougie's so disappointed. Oh no. A long borrower. Yeah, yeah. And you paid it, and maybe you'll pay it forward sometime.
Yeah.
If you get a library card, you get access to like all audiobooks for free. I feel like Bougie explained that to me once on a stream. I don't. Is that the case? I thought you can like sign up for them, and then like when it comes up, you can get it, but you might have to wait like a couple of months. Like I don't think it's just you can like access any audiobooks unless I'm misunderstanding how that works.
I don't actually know how it works. I don't have a library card, despite we having a library right in town. When I go, I don't own a printer, so I have to go to the library to print stuff. And when I go there, I have to use like the complimentary card to use the printer because I refuse to sign up for a library card.
I should like renew my because I had a library card, but I've been moving so much the last couple of years. It's been tough. I should probably get one again though. I could save some money on like because I read pretty much. I read all of the Dresden Files on my Kindle. I don't actually physically own any of them.
I'm okay with
So
Bezos tracking me, but I am not okay with my local library tracking any of my information. I'm not trying to give him my
that's
address and name.
that's fair. You got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, that's where it is for me.
Um, hello Morgan, howdy howdy, welcome in. BJ, sup guys? Think I got some kind of virus. My whole body is sore. Yeah, that's some timing to come in. Um, just as it's very character driven, jumps from being different characters at different times from before the world shuts down till the world starts to come back. Oh, the world comes back. That's not very fun. Um, no, I might check it out, Tex. Thank you. Anyway, all that to say, so yeah, I finished the Dresden Files. I played a bit of League last weekend with Yoshi, which was fun. I've been playing a couple ARAMs here and there, and then I've been playing some of the shall not be named wizard game that has caused some controversy that we talked about last week on the show. So I've been playing some Hogwarts Legacy, not a ton, but I've been playing it here and there. So I'll probably slowly work my way um, through it. Um, and then, yeah, I've been listening to something, but that kind of ties into something that's coming up. So I'll talk about that in our kind of next section. Um, Templar, where's my League invite? Oh, Boots, you play League? I'm
He
down.
does. He
Really, the
does.
only way I can play League is if I play with people, because otherwise it's just not fun to play by. I don't find it fun to play by myself unless I'm just doing ARAMs or something. But yeah, I'm down. We can play sometime. I'm the same way. Yeah, it's kind of how you have to be. Um, but yeah, I think that's it for me. So, Mark, how about you? You obviously had a pretty eventful week, so break some of that down for us. And what were you playing doing while you were doing all that as well?
Yeah, man. Well, this last week we were away in Disney with the family, and I'm not going to get into the full details of everything that we did, but basically we hit up Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom. Stayed in the Pop Century Resort. Went with my in-laws. Girls had a blast. Disney is exhausting. It's a ridiculously exhausting experience. And the kids had a blast, but it's like you get back at like 7 p.m. after literally the day we were in Magic Kingdom. We walked like 7.5 miles and waited in line throughout the day and whatever. And then like you get back, and the kids are like, "Let's go swimming." You're like, But then I like channel my inner bandit, which is the dad from Bluey, and I'm like, "Okay, let's go swimming." And so like, you go out and you go swimming, and so yeah, it's been. But you know what? It was really really great. We closed out with a free trip to MGM. Shout out to my wife's family who works for House of Blues in Disney Springs. I got a couple of cool pieces of merch while I was there, including this dope Star Wars beanie that I really like, and a really cool Star Wars flannel with like it has like almost like comic book patches on the back of it from the Mandalorian, and
Oh,
has a
nice.
really cool. Is a really it's the part where Mando is separating from Grogu, and he says the kid will get to choose which way he wants to go, and it's it's like a pretty iconic moment in the show, and it's a really cool one as a dad to have. So I got that.
Mm,
Really nice. It has like the Mandalorian, like the symbol that's stamped on the metal bars that they use to make their armor. It has that like embroidered sewn in the front of it, like on what you would see
oh,
on like a dress shirt that has like a golfer on the front of it, but it has that symbol on it. But it's
shit.
like it's very much like the equivalent of a warmer drug rug. Like it's like a very grunge, like medium weight flannel that's somewhere between a shirt and a jacket, and that
Right.
like very much so kids in my high school who were stoners wore. But it's really nice. It's really nice, and I freaking love it. So I'm all in on it.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to see it at a service one day.
I had it on. I had it on this week at church. Actually, I had it on this week at church.
I'll have
And
to go back and take a look.
yeah, and I showed off the back of it like right at the beginning of stream as well. So, but we literally came back Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. and church started at 8:30, and I had to fix half the studio when I got back because we lost power, and if you lose power in the studio and it comes back on, it messes everything up. And so, luckily, we got everything going. The last day was probably my favorite day of vacation. My wife's family owns a house. They built a house 40 years ago outside of Disney. It's like down a dirt road, like at a swamp, and they have like 10 acres, 8 acres or 9 acres of it is a swamp. They have this fenced in, not fenced in, it's like a screened in back porch. There's like wild pigs that like came up to the back edge of the swamp at the back end of their property in the evening, and we literally just like hung out in like 71 degrees, warm and breezy on the back porch, and ate lunches and dinners, and it was amazing.
Nice.
I'm going to talk. Jen said we also rode Ride the Resistance. Yes, we're going to talk about the Galaxy's Edge experience, I think, in a minute. But
Hmm.
that was such a good day. It was just like hanging out with family, eating good food, back porch, super relaxing. And during that time in travels, like I did play some games. So I played like 5 hours of Marvel Snap that day, probably, and
Nice.
really experiencing the new Modoc card that came out in the new season in February. Came home. I've been back into Destiny 2 and prepping for Lightfall, which is the year-long expansion that starts February 28th, and I'm super pumped about that. I watched a lot of videos about it and got myself all psyched up about it. But I've been also playing Fire Emblem Engage, which is the new latest game in the Fire Emblem series. And I have to say,
Hmm.
I'm pretty disappointed with it as a whole. I went out and bought it when I was
Hmm.
fasting, just something to distract my brain. And
Sure.
the combat is fine, but it's the same as every Fire Emblem game that I've ever played, right? You level up your characters,
Right.
you choose their classes. It's the same exact thing. Like, they didn't do anything new with it. It's literally the same game, with the exception of being able to engage, which, like, lets you combine powers with a previous Fire Emblem's character that's their spirit is inside of a ring that you can equip to specific characters and all that. Um,
Okay.
it's fine, but like the story is awful. It's just not good. The character like dialogue between them is bad. Like the added game feature that they added, like the cool thing that you can do when you're not in combat with the last one, Three Houses, was like go and talk to all the other kids who are classmates, which was boring, but you kind of got to know them. In this one,
Hmm.
you can just adopt animals and send them back to your
Oh, okay.
base, and they don't do anything. You just They just now linger around your base and you can collect them, which I could really care less about. It makes no difference to me. Um, so what I have found is like I'm just skipping dialogues and just moving from battle to battle because I do find the battles to be engaging. It's still like very much the
Sure.
Fire Emblem shell, like the core pieces of it are there, but the rest of it is just like yeah. And then I finished Inscription today live on stream.
Yes, I saw some of that.
Holy freaking crap! That game is an absolute insane wild ride. Have you played it yet, Templar?
No, I've seen a decent amount of it because Doc streamed it for a while, and then you've obviously been streaming it a fair bit. So I've seen a good chunk of it, but no, I've never played it. But I saw the end today when you were playing it, and it just the whole game seems wild.
It is one of, if not the most meta, weirdest, strangest, unsettling games I have ever seen. It is just it's not even a game. Like it is a game. Like there's a game in there, but the whole thing is just like what is the best possible way for us to wildly confuse you and kind of scare you and also make you just kind of uncomfortable, but also make you
Hmm.
want to keep coming back for more the whole time. Um, it's like I can't even gauge it. Like it is the most unique and unpredictable gaming experience I have ever had. I can't tell you how many times on stream over the past couple of weeks I have just yelled, "What is this game?" because I was like there was a point today where there was a point not that long ago where it literally asked for permission to access my hard drive, and I gave it permission, thinking that that was a fake thing, and then it started pulling real files from my computer and threatening to delete them from my computer if I lost the game. And I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" And then today, there was just a point where it started pulling in private information from my Steam account, and it started throwing cards onto the board that were like you. It had Templar and his profile picture, and it had like Brombin and his profile picture were like on the board with stats attacking me. And then I had to kill you. And it was like the weirdest. It was one of Hey Fan of Paints. Hey everyone, in what game? We're just talking about Inscription real quick. But yeah, one of the weirdest gaming experiences I have hands down ever had. And we are podcasting about it, so I'm doing a couple of episodes closing it out tomorrow because it was just I'm glad that I did it because it was really unique. I just don't even know how to rate it. Like I can't even tell if it's one of my favorite or one of my least favorite games of all time. Like I have no idea what to do with it.
Well, it's obviously got you giving you something to think about. So I mean, I guess that says that at least it's memorable,
It is.
if nothing
It is.
else.
Oh my gosh. So do you want to talk like a hot second before we jump into the games we're looking forward to in media about Galaxy's Edge? You want me to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, let's hear it, man. I'm interested to see because I've heard a lot of praise for it. I'm curious what your experience was like. What you thought of it was. And I saw Jen was in the chat.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're still around, Jen, but what did you think of it as well? But yeah, man, let's hear about it.
And P51 Mustangs, good to see you. Welcome in. Yeah, it was really honestly, it was really cool. Like it was wild. So we came in and you kind of come through in the one in Florida, you kind of come through this almost looks like an underpass or a tunnel that you come through. And you can't
Hmm.
really see anything on the other side of it. You can just see these like stone spires that are kind of sticking up, right? And then you
Hmm.
come through, and when you walk out on the other side, you are like, you're in Disney, but you're also in Star Wars. Like the carts that this Disney employee is selling drinks from is the shape of like a like a mining like a Star Wars mining cart with a droid on the side of it. And all of
Right.
the pops in it are small bombs that you would typically see like in Star Wars, but they're Pepsis. And the chick who's running it isn't wearing a Disney outfit. She's dressed like an Imperial. And then you go and there's a platoon of stormtroopers coming down and literally questioning people. And then you walk into like the bazaar, and typically a Disney shop, you'd walk into a Disney shop and it's like, "Oh, I'm now in a Disney shop, not in, whatever the Western thing themed area is or the space themed area." But you walk in and you're like, "Nope, this is still Star Wars." Yeah, they sell stuffed animals, but all the stuffed animals are like in cages and they're all like Star Wars creatures. And then there's like animatronic versions of those creatures also in cages hanging from the ceiling. And then you like go down and
Wow.
there's a diner, and you can sit around the bar, but in the center of the bar is this enormous jet engine that's making noise. Like that's what they're cooking their meat over, is like the fire from this jet engine. And then like you go out and oh, right there is there's just like for no apparent reason, like it's not adding anything, just like ambiance, there's just like a junkyard with 5 wrecked like speeders in it, that are like there in kind of in pieces that you can just like walk up to. And then oh, we turn this next corner. It was amazing how big it was. Like we came in and we turned a
Hmm.
corner, and there was like a big crowd of people, and there was like one of the Imperial shuttles that was sitting there, but like full-sized Imperial shuttles. And coming out of the Imperial shuttle was Kylo Ren and like 3 stormtroopers. Um and like just coming in amongst the people, which was crazy. And then like you turn and you look, and like there's this huge cliff, and up on the cliffside is like a starfighter, like there's a spaceship right there. And then you
Mm.
turn another corner and there's the Millennium Falcon, except it's huge, right? And it's right there. I think the thing that really caught me though, and the thing that's so enveloping is once you're in it, because of the way they've built it, you can't see anything outside of it. Um
Mm.
and so Kylo walked right past us and stared at me, and I got chills because it was scary. Yeah, Kylo. Yeah, it was like Jen says, it was legitimately, it was like kind of unsettling because there was no
Yeah.
Disney employees escorting them. It was just like Kylo Ren angry with some stormtroopers. But I think the thing that is the most enveloping is like in every other part of Disney, it's like, oh yeah, I'm in Space Mountain area, but I can turn and see Cinderella's castle, right?
Right.
Or like I'm in the Animal Kingdom and we're in the Asia district, but I can also turn around and see the Tree of Life. But that's not the case in Galaxy's Edge. When you walk into Galaxy's Edge and come out from underneath that underpass, you cannot see any other part of the park at any point. All that you can
Mm.
see the entire time is Galaxy's Edge. And in every other part of Disney, you like if you go into a bathroom, it's like, oh, this whole area is Western themed. But when you enter the bathroom, it's a normal bathroom. And here you're in
Right.
Galaxy's Edge, and when you go in the bathroom, nope, it's still a rusted out piece of junk in the bathroom. I mean, it's sanitary, but it looks and it's
Yeah.
painted and
Yeah.
it's decorated and it feels like you're in a bathroom that would be on the streets of Tatooine if there was a public restroom
Right.
on the streets of Tatooine. So like
It's got that rundown Star Wars vibe.
yeah, so it's very wild. Now, the first thing that we went on is we did Rise of the Resistance, and I don't even want to give it away for anybody who ends up on it, but
Sure.
it's crazy. Like you come out and you go in this door on this spaceship and it moves, but you never feel it turn. And then the same door that you got in opens up behind you, but it's not a screen. It's an entirely different location, and you have no idea how they swapped it. Like, and it's not could be
Mm.
a different location. Like, you were outside in the open air. You got into the ship, and when the same doors opened behind you a few minutes later, you were inside an Imperial Star Destroyer, and there is 50 stormtroopers in front of you. Animatronic stormtroopers, and there is multiple people standing around you in full Imperial armor. And then, like, you get put in the ship with a droid, and all of a sudden, you are under 50-foot tall AT-ATs. Like, and you don't know how you got
Wow.
there. Like, you're like, where is this? Am I in a bag of holding right now? Like, how am I in this space? How big is this? Like, did I tunnel underground? Where did Disney actually put this? And then the more unsettling part is like every Disney employee is really nice, but not on that freaking ride. Like you are captured by the Imperials, and all of the Disney employees that are moving you in lines from point A to point B to move you into the next section of the ride, because you actually get on and off different sections of the ride throughout, and you have to like
Yeah.
walk through the Imperial Star Destroyer, and then you have to get on something else. All these things, like they're dressed up as Imperial officers, and they're not nice. Like they're not screaming at you.
They're
Like they know the
they're like
lines.
treat right, but they're treating you like you're a captured rebel, whatever.
Like yeah, they're like, we're going to interrogate you and this is what you're going to do, and you are going to stand in these lines and you're going to remember the color that you're on, and you're going to get in the shuttle that we tell you to get into. And they like, but they full blown role play it as Imperials.
Yeah.
It was the most engrossing experience at Disney. And then we did Smuggler's Run, which was not as good. That's the one that's inside of, and I don't even understand how that worked either, but it's somehow like magically inside of the Millennium Falcon, and it is like a VR experience. Um,
Okay.
but you all kind of have controls, but they're very limited. So like you have two gunners, two engineers, and two pilots. And like
Mm.
I had the ability to take the ship up and bring the ship back down. And if I didn't, it wrecked into stuff and shook me and made me motion sick. So I tried to be pretty accurate. Um,
Right.
my mother-in-law wrecked us into a lot of things. And other than that, it was okay. It was not nearly as like wow, like as Rise of the Resistance was pretty insane. Um,
Yeah.
just from like a mind blown factor, it was just like, I don't understand how they're doing this. Um, so all of that to say, like, Galaxy's Edge is cool. And I think even one of the cooler parts is like all of the merchandise in Galaxy's Edge, you couldn't really get anywhere else. Like, build your
Oh,
own
okay.
lightsaber, build your own droid. Like, those were stations and they're very expensive. But things like you can buy Jedi robes there that are really nice, and Sith robes, and you can buy like a sculpture of Vader's melted helmet for like $300. But like, you can't go to any other part of the park and buy Jedi robes. You can only get them in Galaxy's Edge. And all of like the
Sure.
traditional Star Wars fanfare, like coffee mugs and t-shirts and hoodies, they don't even sell them in Galaxy's Edge because they only sell stuff that makes you feel more like you're part of the environment. Um it
Oh,
I was impressed, man. I was really impressed by it, by the whole experience.
sure. It sounds like it's very detailed. I mean, you got to give. Yeah, I have my issues with Disney, but you got to give them credit where credit's due when it comes to branding. They're very good with their branding and making sure things um, are very detailed and like specific, and they give you that experience that you probably can't really get anywhere else. Um, So Jen said it was most immersive experience I've had in a theme park. Felt like being in the movie. There's a ton to do there. I'm sure they add more as the years go on, though. I'm sure they do. Bootstraps, that's intense. Would be epic how immersive that is. It sounds very cool. P-51 Mustang. Even the food items sold are named after Star Wars dishes. Right? He said I did drink the blue milk. Did you? Did you partake of some of the food or like drinks there that are sort of Star Wars themes?
We did not. There was a long line to get into the cantina. But I wanted to. Like, I did really want to get into the cantina, but there was a long line for it. So Jen even says that later on. We just couldn't get
Oh,
in.
sorry. Yeah. There's a lot of names with the same color, so
There are all green
sometimes
for
I get
me.
them mixed up when they're all green. So sorry. Yeah, Jen already answered. Wanted to go in the cantina, but there was a long line. Right. Right. Made several Disney employees break character by making them laugh. B-51. He's trying to get him in trouble. Even made Kylo stutter when I asked him about younglings and his dad. That's good. So I mean, not to get into specifics because I we don't need to know the details of like this end of it, but would you say it's worth it? Because my understanding is it's fairly expensive. Like, and we don't need to get into like the financial side of things, but like, would you say as an experience, it's worth the money that you have to kind of shell out for it?
I'm going to say if you are planning a Disney vacation already, then
Mm,
if you're a Star Wars fan, do not miss Galaxy's Edge. It is worth, like, let's say you are going to the parks for 3 days and you're trying to pick between Epcot, Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, and MGM. Previously, my choice would have been don't go to MGM. Now my choice would be probably skip Epcot. Like,
okay.
make MGM and put it on your list because the the experience inside of Galaxy's Edge was worth it for me. And it for me that was with kids. If I didn't have kids, I would skip Magic Kingdom and do Epcot because I'm not impressed by many of the rides in Magic Kingdom, with the exception
Sure.
of we did the Flight of Proving, which is the Avatar ride in Magic Kingdom, and it's
Oh yeah.
VR and it's freaking amazing. It was it was crazy. It was very very good. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
fair enough.
it is expensive. I don't think that I would be like, I'm gonna travel flight of passage. That was what it was. I don't think I would like come out and be like, I'm specifically traveling. I'm gonna plan a trip to Disney just to go to Galaxy's Edge. Um,
Right.
it's so hard to say that's worth it because Disney's prices are absolutely outrageous. Um,
Mm,
that being said, I did find out while we were there that their CEO recently got let go or moved on, and they brought in one of their old ones. And a lot of that reason was because the CEO of the parks or whatever was intentionally raising the prices to the point that most American families couldn't afford it. Um,
mm,
and they're like they said they've seen a noticeable markdown on like just the prices of food. We actually found food to be pretty reasonable even inside the parks. It wasn't outrageous. It wasn't any more money than what we would have spent, and sometimes it was cheaper than, like, we got a whole pizza and fed my whole family for like $20. Like that pizza I ate on stream a couple weeks
not
ago was
bad.
like 35. So
Hmm.
we actually found that the prices for food anyway were relatively reasonable, and the convenience of staying like on resort and like having the buses to go back and forth is absolutely nutty. Disney does a lot to get you on property, and making your entire life convenient with their magic bands and everything is a major part of that for sure.
Sure.
Jen said I
Um,
would wait a few more years until they add more things too. There's not enough to do there. That you don't have to pay extra for. That's definitely true. Like the droid, like making a droid that's going to cost you 100 to 200 bucks. Making your own lightsaber, you're going to spend a couple $100 on that. I mean, they're legit. Like they're metal. They're really nice. You get to get
mhm.
your kyber crystal. I hear it's a really cool experience. But on top of paying to get into the park, there's only 2 rides in Galaxy's Edge. It's just Rise of the Resistance and Smuggler's Run. So even if you waited 2+ hours for each of those, at the end of half your day, you're going to kind of be done there. Um, and
Yeah.
so, like, that's why I'm saying, like, maybe don't go just for Galaxy's Edge, because you're not going to go there and spend endless hours in Galaxy's Edge. You're going to be done with it in
Right.
maybe 5 or 6
They got
hours.
they got to build it up over time. Sure. Oh, well, that's pretty cool, man. I'm glad you had fun. Hopefully, I'm sure the kids enjoyed it. Um, yeah, sounds like a great experience. So, with that being said, then we'll move on to stuff upcoming this year, things that we're looking forward to, things that we're excited about. Um, and one thing I wanted to start with that I had kind of mentioned previously about what I've been listening to is NF came out with a new song yesterday called Hope.
Hmm.
And he's releasing a new album on April 7th, which is a pretty big deal because he hasn't released an album in quite a long time. And so I'm not sure if you, I don't know if you're a big, I don't know if you're a big NF listener, Mark, but I'm excited for that. So a couple months, April 7th, his new album's coming out. So that's one bit of music that I'm looking forward to this year because I
Hmm.
really liked his last, well, it was like a mixtape, but I liked the last thing he released.
Hmm. No, I have not. I've never really listened to NF, to be honest. But I'm not a big music guy, and the only times I really listen to music is when I'm sitting here at the computer. And a lot of times I'm just listening to like lo-fi or something like that. Mostly, what I listen to is stuff that helps me focus. Um, because I used to listen to a lot more music when I drove and when I was younger and cooler, but now I'm old and I'm a dad, and so I don't have time to. I'm like, put on Mumford and Sons, and then they put on something, and I'm like, stop that! That's not Mumford and Sons. And then it's like a new album that came out 3 years ago, and I didn't even know it released. So, um, yeah, I don't keep real up to date with music anymore, unfortunately. It was like one of those things that got sacrificed in the flurry of like buying a house and having children.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Those probably are a little bit more important.
Jen and I do talk
Um,
about that though, because like we used to be hip and cool and like know when a new album was coming out, and like we followed bands and went to concerts, and then this is like, oh my god, now we understand why my parents and our families listened to the same stuff from 15 years ago, our entire childhoods. It's like, yeah, well, you don't have any time or patience to go find anything new. I kind of get it now.
yeah, well, I don't follow a ton. I mean, obviously I've made um no secret of the fact that I listen to K-pop, and I've been shouting out XG, my new favorite girl group, for a little while now, out of Japan. Um, but NF is one of the few kind of artists that I actually do pay attention to, and he is like a Christian. He's one of those people who's sort of like he's a rapper and he's a Christian, but he doesn't really consider himself a Christian rapper. It's kind of that situation. But a lot of his lyrics, I think, are really good. He never ever curses in any of his music at all, and I think he deals with a lot of pretty heavy topics. But I think there's a lot there for people to pick up on and to be inspired by or to relate with and whatever. So it's very good.
Mm.
Um, yeah, but other than that, so what do you? That's the only music thing that I can think of that I'm sort of looking forward to. But so what do you got coming up that you're excited about? You had a list here of some of the big video game releases from this year, and so we are going to take a look at that and then see what's up with it.
Yeah, I think like show wise, the only thing that I would be looking forward to is so weird because typically it would be like Marvel stuff. I know that like people got a little bit of hype over the Super Bowl about I guess a new Flash movie or something. I didn't
Yeah,
really I didn't see that. But
the trailer looks pretty good.
yeah, most of my excitement when it comes to media is going to be around games this year because there are a lot of games that I've season 3 of Ted Lasso. Yeah, we have been enjoying Ted Lasso. It hasn't gotten too raunchy for us yet. I am excited about. I will probably watch the next season of The Mandalorian. I'm cautiously optimistic about that. And
Sure.
honestly, I have watched now like half of Andor, and yeah, I'm already pretty sold. Like they would have to screw it up pretty royally in the second half of the season for me to not want to continue. It is a little long in the
Sure.
tooth. I mean, it's a lot. There's a lot of content there.
There is.
But the hard thing is the only time I watch TV is when I'm with my wife, and so we've been watching Ted Lasso, so I have not been watching anything else. But
Hmm.
most of the stuff that I am excited for is games. And we have a list of, I think, I don't know, 15 games or something here that we're going to
Hmm.
sort of rifle through. But I have two honorable mentions that didn't make it on this list. And because they're
Okay.
expansions and not new games. And that is, I'm really excited for the new Lightfall expansion for Destiny 2. Um,
Right.
and I am equally not equally, I am optimistically cautiously excited for the Necrom expansion for Elder Scrolls Online, which is introducing a
Okay.
new class called the Arcanist. Um, and it's sort of like, did you play Skyrim at all?
I did. Yeah.
Did you play the Dragonborn expansion?
No.
Okay, like the DLC for it, where like you go to Hermaeus Mora's realm, and it's like the tentacle god of knowledge. Um,
Oh.
this new class is like fueled from that realm and like shoots tentacles and like all of these like fluorescent green magics around. It actually looks pretty dope. And so I do think I
Okay.
will dip my toe back into ESO to check that out when it comes out later this year.
Sure.
Did you have any games that you were expansions and stuff that you were really excited for that didn't make it on this list? I don't know if you have the list pulled up or not.
I do. Yeah, stuff that I think most of what I'm looking forward to. There's a few movies this year I'm looking forward to. There isn't a ton of. There haven't been a ton of games, but no, I think everything that I can think of is on this. There's one sort of smaller game that I talked about at the end of last year called Forever Skies, which is sort of it's a version of it's sort of like Subnautica, but like in the sky type of deal, where you're like you pilot this airship and you're kind of above this city that's been consumed by like um, toxins and stuff like that. And it's a similar idea. You're surviving and you're trying to gather resources and like build up your airship and like so it's sort of a bit of a similar vibe to something like Subnautica, and that looked kind of interesting to
Hmm.
me. But that's a much smaller game, so no, I think this pretty well covers it.
Yeah, the only other one that I have is the sequel to Hollow Knight, that's supposed to
Oh,
come out
okay.
this year. And Hollow Knight's one of my, if not my very favorite platformer of all time. And
Hmm.
that's a game that I'll legitimately like heavily binge. Like I will. There's not many games that I would say I won't do anything for the next 12 hours and play this game, and that game could be one of them. Um, I could be really hooked on my Switch. So this first
Never
game
played
though,
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight's so good. Really, really good. So this first game here is Wild Hearts. I don't know anything about this game, but evidently it's like a more, I don't, maybe less anime, less cartoony Monster Hunter is kind of what it looks like.
It looks like it's in the same vein as Monster Hunter. I have seen a little bit about it, but it's not a game I've never played any of the Monster Hunter games. Um, and so I'm not particularly knowledgeable about that sort of realm, but it looks like sort of another version of that. But that's not one that particularly interests me.
Oh, Bougie said it's way more anime-y and cartoony. I mean, from this image, it doesn't look like it. Monster Hunter looks super anime to me, but okay. Yeah, it says it's like it Wild Hearts looks packed to the brim with new ideas to spice up your journey, but it's very similar to the gameplay of Capcom's Monster Hunter series. Um,
Sure.
yeah, I never played
Well,
Monster
it's
Hunter. Have you?
no, no, not particularly interested. It looks kind of cool, but I also heard kind of how big the games are and how much of a time sink they are, and I generally try to avoid games like that.
Hmm, gotcha. Resident Evil 4 remake. I
This is
mean,
the only Resident Evil game I've actually finished. I've actually beat Resident Evil 4. Obviously not the remake, but I played the original for GameCube. And yeah, so that's the only Resident Evil game I've actually played all the way through. I played it through with a buddy. And I liked it. I don't know if I like it enough that I would get the remake. I'm not a particularly like I like zombie stuff as far as horror movies go. I like zombie movies, but I'm not a big horror gaming person. So I don't know if I'll go for this. I might watch some gameplay. I might watch some playthroughs of it. I don't know if I'll actually play this one myself. Have you ever really been into the Resident Evil games at all?
no, the only zombie game I was ever into is Dying Light, and I didn't even
Dying
play the
Light, yeah.
second one. I did think Dying Light 1 was a phenomenal experience. I didn't
Yeah.
hear a whole lot positive or negative about Dying Light 2 when it came out.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was kind of meh. It was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't a significant improvement over the first one. I played some of the first one. I didn't end up finishing it. I had it on. Do I have it on Steam or maybe I had it on Game Pass for a while? And I did play some of it, and I had a good time with it. But I didn't end up actually finishing it. But the gameplay was cool. And Resident Evil 4 is a very good game, and I know these remakes have generally been quite highly praised.
Mm.
I know they remade. I don't actually know if they remade the first one, but they remade the second and third one, and those both were very well received. So for fans of it, and I'll probably check it out, but I don't have a ton of interest at this point.
And more zombie flicks. Dead Island 2. Another one
I
I didn't
played
play the
what?
first.
Yeah, I played Dead Island, the first one, and I didn't mind it. I never finished it, but and it was years and years ago that I played it. But I did play a bit of it. It's a bit more of a cartoony, I guess, sort of like Saints Row compared to Grand Theft Auto
Mm.
for like zombie stuff. Like it's meant to be a bit more fun or a bit more lighthearted in the zombie genre. Um, Looks cool. I probably won't play it. I don't. Again, I don't have a ton of interest. I didn't vibe that well with the first one, so
Just seems like there's a lot of like, when are they stopping making zombie games? Like, I just
eh.
seems endless.
Resident Evil still does well. I mean, the newer ones. I mean, the remakes have done well, and the new ones have done well too. I forget what the last one was. The last one, Village. It was well received, so they seem to be pretty popular.
Next
This
one,
one you might have a little bit more to say about.
yeah, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, sequel to Fallen Order. I've played the beginning of Fallen Order, found it to be very difficult. Um,
Hmm.
and maybe I just need to hook up a controller. This is a game. This is a game that I would like to play, and it's a game that I think I will play, and I think it'll make me play my copy of Fallen Order that's downloaded on my PC, like the weeks leading up to it. I would think.
Yeah, I have Fallen Order on PS5. I haven't beat it, but I do have it, and I was sort of similar to you. I played a decent chunk of it. I got to some parts that were actually surprisingly difficult. And then I got to one planet, and I think I ended up kind of getting stuck there, and I kind of couldn't figure out how to get out of it. I think it might have been a bug, but it sort of caused me to lose a lot of time to have to go back prior to where I had the issue. So I didn't end up going back to it. But overall, the game was good. It was a little buggy, but the first one was a good time. And so this is one I probably will play. I like Respawn, the company that did this. They're the same company behind Titanfall 2, and
Anthem.
Apex Legends. So
Okay.
at least they made Fallen Order. I think they're making this one as well. So I'm interested in this one, and I probably will check it out at some point. But like you, I need to go back and beat the first one before I can really
Yeah.
jump into this one.
Yeah, I feel like you're
But
not
this
going
one
to be able
interests
to
me.
get into this without playing the first one. This one seems like a game that's so heavily story driven that you're going to need. And honestly, I kind of feel like this game was advertised in the way Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy should have been advertised. Because this
Mm,
game was advertised as like a relatively difficult story driven Star Wars game. And I feel like Hogwarts Legacy was advertised as like sort of like, hey, The Witcher 3 meets Harry Potter. And then
Yeah.
really what it was is a story-driven Harry Potter game, where you get to choose what your character looks like instead of playing Geralt. Um,
Yeah, that's true. It's not to that scale. It is more linear, I guess. I mean, they tried to put in a lot of RPG elements into it, but no, it certainly is not the same type of sort of in-depth immersive world as like The Witcher 3 in terms of story. That's true. This game I know nothing about. I don't know anything about this game.
Redfall.
Redfall. I
Uh,
haven't heard of this game.
this is Bethesda is putting this out. I don't know why they're working on this. This is a vampire, like post-apocalyptic vampire world where you're like, I think you're
No.
sort of hodgepodging together guns in a way that would be similar to what's that game where you that they came out that was like Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Um
Oh, sure. Yeah, Borderlands.
Borderlands, it sort of seems to have a bit of like a run and gun looter shooter Borderlands vibe, except you're like, putting together like wooden stake shooters and stuff, and killing off like these super evil vampires. Um, uh, yeah, I'm not really sure. It doesn't look appealing to me. Like I've watched several of the trailers for it because I always watch the Bethesda showcases for ESO news, and I've
Hmm.
watched it and I'm kind of like, okay, yeah, it's an open world co-op FPS. Redfall looks mad to me. It's like Overwatch meets Back for Blood with vampires. Yeah, and I think it's kind of like a four-player
Sure.
co-op, kind of like Left 4 Dead. There's like a Left 4 Dead vibe to it as well because you can team up with three of your friends. But I don't think that means that someone's taking over, a fifth person's taking control of the vampire, which I think is one of the things that made Left 4 Dead so really good. Um,
Yeah, something like what was that game called? Prey, I think it was called, where
mm,
what was it called? Prey, where you someone played the monster and then there was like a team of four that was hunting it down. Um, that was an interesting vibe to it. Co-op FPS games like Left 4 Dead. I mean, Left 4 Dead was okay. I played it a bit, but it's not really my thing. So if it's well reviewed, I mean, if a few people in the server are playing it, maybe I'll try it out or something. I don't know, but it's not like on a list for me of things I need to get.
Yeah, no, me neither. This one, however, is 100% on my list, which is The Legend of
Meh, moving
Zelda
on.
Tears of the Kingdom. I know Templar's not in for this, but I am so. Oh, I guess Redfall will be free on Game Pass, Bushi said. Um, that'll be the only reason I
Okay,
get it. Yeah, you might dabble in
worth
it if it's
trying.
free.
Worth trying then.
Yeah. Yeah, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Cannot wait for this game.
This is the
This
Breath of the Wild sequel.
yeah, this is the Breath of the Wild sequel. Um, there's like this and two or three others that are like some of my most anticipated games, not just of 2023, but of the last 4 or 5 years. And this is probably topping that list, with the exception of maybe the Hollow Knight sequel. Um,
Okay.
in terms of like my excitement level is it's huge for this game. I cannot wait for this. So
Sure,
love
fair enough. I sold my Switch, so like I don't have any means to play it.
yeah.
And like I tried to play Breath of the Wild and I I I gave it a shot. I got I think, a chunk of the like a some of the way into it. Like I didn't just play it for an hour. I played it for a bit, but it just didn't grab me. But it did take me like three tries before I actually got into The Witcher 3. So I might have eventually got into it, but then I ended up selling my Switch because I
Mm.
wasn't getting enough use out of it. In hindsight, I wish I hadn't, um, because it would be just nice to have. But that is what it is. So maybe down the road at some time I'll pick one up again and try another time. But this one I'm kind of looking forward to, but I don't know. There was this one, and then there was the Gotham Knights game.
Mm-hmm.
And Gotham Knights looked kind of bad to me, and ended up
I
being
agree.
kind of bad.
Yeah.
Um, th- this one, this one looks interesting. I mean, I'm at least hopeful for this one. I'd like to play another good DC game, something in the world of, Batman and whatever. And Batman's not in this one, I don't think. At least I don't know, but
Kill the
um,
Justice League. I
fighting
mean,
against fighting against the just yeah he might show up fighting against the Justice League. I like these characters. I've seen some stuff with the Justice League. The new Justice League movie was good. So yeah, I'm kind of hopeful for this one. I'll check it out anyway, and if the reviews are decent, I'll probably give it a shot.
Yeah, this is a game that I did not know was coming out, but when I looked at it on this list and I read about it, a robust co-op mode, that seems fun. Um,
Yeah.
Being able to swap between the different members of the Suicide Squad, like hunting possessed Superman.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this is more exciting to me than Gotham Knights. I agree.
I mean, the theory of Gotham Knights, or like the potential of Gotham Knights, was cool, but just like I never saw anything that got me excited about that game, and then everything I heard when it came out was just like a big meh.
Yeah, it looked like a
Street
big meh.
Fighter fighting games aren't my thing. I know that like for people in the fighting game sphere, which is
Its
its
own whole
own
group of people.
unique niche, I'm sure this is a big deal, but I'm doubtful I even play this. Fighting games just aren't really my thing.
I feel like fighting games and racing games are just like their own genre of gamers. Like they are completely separate from the rest
Yep.
of the gaming community.
I mean, with that being said, I guess Riot is working on Project L, which is like a league fighting game, tag team fighting game. And so when that comes out, because I assume it'll be free based on like the Riot model and have cosmetics, I will probably try that out, but I have an investment in the IP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Street Fighter, I don't have any particular investment in the IP, so I'm sure for fighting game fans this is a big one, but for me it's kind of a pass.
Even this picture looks awful. Uh, this game though, this game I am excited for. Diablo
Yeah, I
4.
mean it's Blizzard though, so like I feel like morally speaking, I can't. I don't know. I played Diablo 3 and I enjoyed it, but I don't have a huge attachment to this franchise, so maybe I'll end up trying this one. But then there was the whole debacle with Diablo Immortal, and like
Oh, that game was,
I just don't
yeah.
know.
Ugh.
It's hard for me to want like it's hard for me to. I mean, I mean, I guess if you want to, you can have an issue with probably any big company. So it's tough to say that Blizzard is sort of specifically evil or bad in that sense. But I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm not sure if I'll check this one out or not.
Yeah. Bougie said it's fully crossplay. That's kind of interesting.
That's nice.
I know, like, I'm gonna play this with Sheebs and a couple of other people who are really pumped for it. I did really enjoy Diablo 3. It got grindy over time. I actually enjoyed Diablo Immortal. I just didn't enjoy it being an enormous cash grab. And I'm
Hmm.
hoping that this game is not an enormous cash grab. Is kind of where I'm at. Like, will there like are you actually going to deliver a full game here? Like, I do think that Blizzard typically does not deliver half-baked games, but what I think they do is they make you pay $60 for a game and then put the rest of the game behind a paywall. Um, and even that, although they have not historically done that with Diablo, they did that so heavy-handedly with Diablo Immortal that it makes me
Hmm.
nervous about Diablo 4. Um, but if it is just like a better Diablo 3, I'm in for that. Like, I would love
Diablo
that.
3 was fun. I enjoyed it. I don't think I finished it, but I got pretty far. I played it quite a bit. So like the game type itself I enjoy. So
This is one of
you
the
know.
ones that's kind of like close to my day one list. Like, I kind of have games that are like,
Okay.
I will, like, Lightfall's a day one list. Like, Necrom is, the expansion is like maybe day one. Maybe I'll wait and see how it plays out. Games like Justice League, see how it plays out, Jedi Survivor, probably not a day one, probably when it goes on sale for the first time, you know.
Yeah.
Um, this is on the edge between like a day one buy and a let's see if Blizzard screws the pooch before I buy it type of thing.
Sure.
Um,
This one, I mean, the only one we've looked at so far that might be day one is maybe just is the Suicide Squad one, because I want to play another good DC game. So if it's well reviewed and it looks like it's going to kind of be the game that I'm hoping it is, that might be a day one
mm.
game for me. But all the rest of these are either things I'll get to or Final Fantasy 16. I don't know. I played a bit of 15. I didn't really get into it. I used to love this franchise, like
Wasn't 15 where they
eight,
were like
nine.
driving around in a Cadillac the entire time?
yeah, you just had a car and you were driving around. It was a weird game. The combat was okay, and I didn't mind it, but it just didn't grab me in the way the older ones did.
Hmm.
So I don't know what I'll do with this one.
I'm intrigued
Maybe I'll
by the
probably
art and direction and like era, the fantasy
sure.
era that this one seems to be in, rather over and above the like. As soon as I saw them jump and drive around in a Cadillac from an encounter to encounter, I was like, yeah, it's a game I will literally never play.
Yeah, yeah. Going back to a more traditional fantasy setting might be preferable. Although I know there's always been in like a lot of Final Fantasy games have had that sort of either steampunk or sort of like technology mixed with fantasy. But it really did seem like 15. It was just kind of like, yeah, you're just driving a car around, going fishing, and then fighting these battles. I don't know. It was a weird vibe that I
This is
wasn't into.
only PS5.
I saw that. That's interesting. I didn't know Final Fantasy was still PlayStation exclusive. I
I
wasn't
mean, this
aware
is
of
not even
that.
usually even PlayStation exclusive stuff at least comes out on PC.
Yeah.
Eventually, maybe not. Some stuff doesn't. I guess like God of War and stuff doesn't.
I mean, didn't Ragnarok come out on PC? No,
I don't think it
or I think
did.
it's going to eventually. Anyway, so this one maybe like if it's well reviewed, I might. I would like to get back into Final Fantasy, but we'll see.
So this game
Just
will be
hard
coming out
to.
in 2025. Um,
Yeah, this isn't real. I mean,
there's no
like
way. This
quarter one to quarter two, 2023. Like we're halfway through quarter one, and there's no release date. So like this isn't,
this
you
is
know,
not coming out.
yeah, I don't know. That maybe this game comes out like quarter four Christmas time
And it's buggy
of
as
this
heck and
year.
doesn't work, and everyone's face
Yeah,
is phase in and out.
exactly. Like in theory, I'm excited for this game, but one, I mean, just between the idea that yeah, it's probably never gonna come out. Um, I thought they did move it to quarter four. Blocker J said, yeah. I
Already
mean,
happened.
that's not surprising. Like, and then it'll probably get delayed again. I mean, this game, if it's as big as they're saying it is, it's almost certainly going to be just absolutely a buggy mess and like maybe not even playable. And then you'll probably have to wait a year for it to be patched to the point of being playable. I could be wrong, and maybe they'll release it and it'll be great, at least like good enough. But I don't know. I don't have a lot of hope for this game. I want it to be good, but I don't. I'm not holding my breath on Starfield.
I think this is going to be a very cyberpunk style release.
Cyberpunk
Yeah.
2077, yeah. Release is broken, and then, now Cyberpunk 2077 is not a bad game, but like on release it was not it.
Yeah. Yeah. Skull and Bones. I've heard a little bit about this game. I'm actually kind of interested in this game. Um,
I don't know what to make of this one. It looked kind of interesting. I mean, I ever since Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I've wanted like a
good pirate game.
legit pirate game. And I saw some trailers for this, and like I saw some gameplay features. It seemed pretty kind of generic, and like it wasn't really going to be all that interesting, but I'm hopeful. I would love for this game to be awesome, because since that I've wanted it, and Sea of Thieves doesn't really do it for me. So like since AC4 I've been wanting another game like that, like, but maybe a bit bigger. So I don't know.
Yeah, like I have wanted a sandbox style pirate game, and I would say that Sea of Thieves does do it if there are four people, but it doesn't really fulfill the sandbox pirate thing. It's more like, hey, jump on a boat with some friends and blow the crap out of somebody else's boat. And when you play with three friends, there's a lot of laughs in Sea of Thieves, but there's no game there. Right? Like, I don't really care about collecting
Mm,
stuff and turning it in to get nothing but cosmetics that don't make a difference. Like, it makes no difference to
sure.
me. The real game is playing with your friends and bailing water and shooting cannons, and that is a crazy amount of fun. But Sea of Thieves is never a game
Mm.
I would get on my own, and I would really like a pirate themed game that's an RPG sandboxy game that I would want to get on and play by myself.
Yeah, I mean, ideally that's what this would be. So The Wolf Among Us, I don't know this franchise. It looks like a Telltale game.
It is. Sequel to Telltale's
Oh,
Wolf
it is.
Among Us is set in a vague 2023 release date. So
Okay, it is Telltale. Sure, I've played some of a little bit of their stuff. I have the Batman Telltale game that I haven't finished, but it was quite fun. I don't know what Wolf Among Us is though, but Telltale generally does a good job with their games. So
yeah. Yeah, I actually
yeah, I
don't
don't
know
know
what it
what
is.
I don't know. This game looks kind of like I don't know. I get the vibe of Forspoken from this, that really mad game that came out like a week or two ago that was like
No one knows about because it came
just
out
a
near
big
Harry Potter.
whatever Square Enix fantasy game. I don't know. It like the description says it's like Monster Hunter, but kind of like a successor to Dino Crisis. I mean, I love Dino Crisis, but I don't I don't know. These types of live service games, I think everyone wants to make them, but I just think often like the majority of them I think don't work out.
Hmm.
Like for every Destiny 2 that's remained popular, there's like a dozen other ones that have failed.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe. I mean, fighting dinosaurs seems cool, but like
But is that a theme that
I
would
have
actually
no
get you to keep coming back every day and playing? I don't.
no.
I don't
Me
think it
probably
is. I
not.
don't think it is. I don't think it is
No.
for anybody. Like, who's obsessed with fighting dinosaurs that much?
I mean, I loved the Dino Crisis games back in the day, but I don't know if I need to revisit them now. And it this might not even be what this is.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Marvel
now
Spider-Man 2.
this one is probably a day one. This is one of
Yeah.
the other few kind of day ones for me on here. Spider Man was such a good game. I still haven't finished Miles Morales. I need to get on that and actually finish it. But the first Spider Man game was excellent. Miles Morales is really good, and this one I'm hyped for. Like, I mean, if I think if it's even just the same quality as the first one, then I'm in. Like, I'm good for it. It doesn't even need to be that different. Just kind of more stuff in that world I think would be really cool.
How do
So
these
this is
compare?
probably a day one for me.
How do these compare to like the second and third pieces of the Arkham Batman series?
Oh, how's it compared to like Arkham City and Arkham Knight?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's like they are similar. I mean, they both have sort of some RPG elements, like pretty open worlds to explore. The combat's quite fun. You have upgrades. The storytelling's good. I mean, they're pretty comparable. Obviously, the kind of vibe of them is quite different, just because Spider-Man's vibe as a hero is very different from Batman's. But yeah, I would say that, like they're comparable.
Okay. Yeah.
And the first one was very good. Like to me, the first Spider-Man is probably better than Arkham Knight. Like it's probably similar quality to like Arkham City to me, which is the best of those three games. So it was very good.
Yeah.
So the combat's really good in it. Miles Morales is kind of like more of a DLC. It's not really its own game, although they marketed it as its own game. Um, but yeah, so I'm ready for this one,
This is
and
the
I'm
only.
also really
I was gonna say this is the only thing that makes me want to own a PlayStation 5. Is this series?
yeah. I mean, I think PS5 now. I would say for a while it wasn't necessarily worth it to have a PS5 unless there was like a couple games that you were really into. But I would say now there's enough that it's at least this year. I think there'll be enough that even if you like don't buy into everything, like even just God of War and Ragnarok, um, I think then these games, Last of Us, you know, whatever, the Dark Souls games, like Demon Souls and stuff like that. I think there's enough kind of in the PlayStation 5 and you can actually get them now, which also helps.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, you can actually buy one. Another Final Fantasy series, Final Fantasy Seven Rebirth. So,
Yeah, this is
25th anniversary of Seven.
they split 7 into like multiple parts, right? Because there already was a Final Fantasy 7 game released.
Mm.
Because they remade Final Fantasy 7 and I think they split it into two parts. So oh, I don't have it.
I mean, I think,
The Dane, hello.
yeah.
Lux, hope you in the chat is doing wonderful. Have a wonderful start to the weekend. Thank you, thank you, thank you for dropping in. Always good seeing you. Well, it's good having you here. Uh, Forgot your name. Okay. Anyways, very good to see you. Oh yeah, you already said hello. Um, yeah, I'm Templar. That's Pastor Mark. Thanks for having me as always. Yeah, of course. Well, we appreciate you dropping in. So yeah, this one's good. So Final Fantasy VII, I don't know. I never played seven. I know that's considered the sort of benchmark. Like Final Fantasy VII is
Like
sort of
the
the most
game.
celebrated,
Yeah.
yeah, of like the older Final Fantasies. More like I played 8, 9, and 10, and I know seven is the one that's kind of celebrated above all those. But I never actually played seven.
I think I played
Um,
10 and 3.
three's one was one that was still like top down, right?
Yeah. I think I played its remake on the 3DS.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Yeah, so the lid on the second game in the multi-part Final Fantasy VII remake project. So the second part will be called Rebirth, and the remake would be a total of 3 games. Okay. So yeah, so they remade Final Fantasy VII, but they broke it into 3 separate games, and this is the second of 3, which I don't know how I feel about that. It feels like that's a bit much. I mean, maybe they extended the game out enough that that's justified to break the game into 3 parts, but that just seems like a lot of money to spend to essentially do
relive
one
that.
game. I mean, I
Uh,
know it's an entirely different experience with the graphics now, but
Rebirth is predicted to be holiday of 23. It might be something that I would be interested in because I didn't even realize what they had done with it. Because I did not play 7. I've never been a huge Final Fantasy fan, although a couple of the remakes that I did play on 3DS I really enjoyed. They got me through a couple of college classes. Um,
hmm.
and actually played one of them so much during a college class that I was told I didn't have to come back to class anymore. So, yeah. No way they changed the game entirely. It's like a multiverse equivalent. Oh, okay. So it's like it is a different game. It is a different game. It's just with the characters that you're familiar with. Okay. Yeah, I
Sure.
would be. I would be. I am actually kind of interested in that. I didn't realize how much Final Fantasy was putting out this year. Alien Awake. I've never even heard of this game. Do you know anything about this game?
Alan Wake? No, I know the
Alan
original
Awake. I
Alan
said
Wake.
Alien. Alan Awake. Oh my gosh.
I know the original Alan Wake is like it mentions it in the blurb here is a really big game. It's a really well known game. I never played it, so like I don't have any connection to this franchise. But I mean, the team that made this apparently it says there's the team behind Max Payne and Control. And the Max Payne games were actually quite good. I mean, they're very old now, but they were fun games. And Control is actually another game I have it on my PS5, but I haven't actually beat it. But it's another one that's very like atmospheric sort of powers. Like you have all these different sort of supernatural powers. So it's an investigation game. It seems really cool, and I've heard great things about it. So I need to finish it at some point. But I know people. I know there's some hype for this one, but Alan Wake is just not a. I never played the first one, so it's not a franchise I am plugged into really.
Yeah. Hey Zeph. The Final Fantasy rhythm game is what you picked up today, Bushi says. That doesn't sound like the game that I would enjoy, but rhythm games are their own thing, so if you like them. Last one,
Yeah,
Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. 2023, between April of 23 and 24. That's a big window.
it's a
One
big
unicorn in
window.
the gaming
Yeah,
world is Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, an open world adaptation of James Cameron's iconic Avatar universe. The game was announced 2017 developer Massive Entertainment announcing the adaptation following news of 4 major sequels for the film franchise. So players are beginning to doubt that the game will launch at all, but in 2021, the first major glimpses of the action were finally revealed. So it looks like we actually are going to see this game come out in the next year and a half, 2 years. I've never been particularly attached to the Avatar universe myself. Like, I've never found it to be overly compelling. And if I want to fly from Earth node to Earth node in the sky, I'll just play Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom now because you can do that there. So,
right.
I mean, I do get why people have found it to be so appealing. Maybe for me it's like I've had my mind in fantasy worlds for so long, being a D&D player and gamer, that I'm not particularly impressed by Pandora myself. Um, so
No, I don't get it. Like I mean I saw the original one. And I don't have any unique criticism. It's a beautiful movie. The story is pretty unoriginal. It's fine. It just kind of steals from a bunch of other well-known stories that we already know. I haven't seen the sequel. I know it still made a stupid amount of money, which I don't get. Like I didn't think anyone had really any real investment in this franchise, but obviously that's mistaken. Obviously I was mistaken because it still has made I think like $2 billion or some crazy amount of money.
Mm.
Um, when I thought people had kind of forgotten about that because it was so long ago that the first one. But obviously there's some investment. But I don't know if it's a movie tie-in game. I'm not that interested. I mean, sometimes they can be good, but yeah, like you, I don't really have any investment in this world. So unless I hear this game is like phenomenal when it comes out and it's like a must experience, like I'll skip it. Like I don't need to check out anything else from this world. So
I'm taking a quick look
uh,
through a couple of other lists because there is a remake. There's like the sequel to Zero Dawn is supposed to come out this year. I think that's, I mean, that's probably pretty significant as well, correct?
they're remaking Zero Dawn.
No, no, the
That
sequel.
game's not. The
This
sequel came out last year.
the sequel came out last year. Okay, let me see. What's this thing that I just
Oh,
looked
there
up?
is a Call of the Mountain that's like
Yes.
PSVR 2. That's coming out. That's for the PlayStation VR 2 thing that's coming out
Oh,
as of
okay.
right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's like a VR exclusive game, and I have heard it's good. I've seen a little bit about it just recently because they announced more about PSVR 2. Um, but I mean that's a ways off if I'll ever get one of those. I don't or like it'd be a fair bit of money to drop for that, but maybe it'll be good. I don't know.
There's an Expanse game
Um,
coming out.
yeah, Telltale, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hades,
Yeah, that
Hades
one I'm
2 as well.
interested in. You play as the Hades sequel. Yeah, yeah.
That would be really
I am
good.
interested to see if that one can live up to kind of the hype because the first one, I mean, was such a good game.
It really was.
The Expanse one I'll definitely play. You play as drummer from the Expanse show. So I'm pretty interested in that one because I loved that series. I loved that show was fantastic. So I am looking forward to that one when it comes out. And then there was a couple games like Riot did in their announcements recently, and there's like a platformer game with Echo coming out called Convergence that looked pretty cool. And then there was like kind of a top down. It looked like something like Hades with Silas called
Mm.
Mage Seekers that's coming out from Riot that also looked kind of neat. And then also there was the Song of Nunu, which is like an adventure game of some kind that's also coming out from them this year. So they got a few things coming out.
I feel like Riot is doing everything they can to branch out of their game, right? And I feel like they haven't really hit it out of the park with anything yet.
Well, I mean, they've tried to make some different games. I mean, because obviously, I mean, I think League is still one of, if not, I mean, it's still one of the biggest games in the world. So, like, but eventually it's going to die off. And I think they know that they have to have other games. I mean, but Valorant is pretty big, I think. And I think competitive Valorant is pretty big. Um, I know it gets a lot of views on Twitch anyway, pretty consistently. TFT, I think, the auto battler was sort of a short lived genre, but TFT has sort of hung around, and I think people are still pretty into it. Runeterra, unfortunately, I think they'll probably keep supporting it. And maybe it is still very popular, but I don't think it ended up being as big as they wanted it to be. Um, Wild Rift, I don't know. Bougie was mentioning before that he played a game of Wild Rift, but I haven't played Wild Rift on mobile, so I don't know how well that one's doing.
I played it when it first came
Uh,
out for a couple of weeks, and then was like, yeah, I'm done with this. Um,
I heard that Runeterra is bringing in formats. Maybe time to brush it off. Bringing in
yeah.
formats. I don't know what that means.
So like limited card pools. So format would be like the equivalent of like wild and standard in Hearthstone, and so they'll sunset cards or create a set that's like, okay, you can only play these regions in this ladder or whatever have you.
Oh,
Um,
sure. I mean, I think they basically did get to a point with Runeterra where the game was unbalanceable. Like, they had such a big card pool that I think no matter what they did, something was going to be absolutely broken. Um, oh, Pastor Savage, gentlemen, how are you? We're doing good, man.
Good to see you, man.
Welcome in. By the time this comes out, Diablo 4 will be out. Octopath 2. Is that like Genshin Impact, Bougie?
Octopath 2? No, Octopath 2 is like a
Oh, I know,
JRPG. Oh, okay.
I know. I just say that to bug him.
I was like, you
uh,
can't think that, right? You have to know that that's not what it is.
no, I know nothing, and like all of those like Octopath and there's a few other ones, and they always sound like the same to me, like sort of generic Japanese RPGs, and so I just compare them all to Genshin Impact because I know people love that. Um, thanks for picking. I'd rather be slaying demons in Diablo. Dust in the wind. Are we all? I don't know what's happening in chat, but thank you all for hanging out. I'm excited for Pharaoh, a new era. I have no idea what that is. As long as there's esports, lol will do okay. Yeah, probably. I mean, it's stuck around for now, and they've shown that they can update the game enough. But it's smart for them to branch out, and obviously they've done like they made Arcane, and Arcane did very well in
Oh,
season two. I
Arcane's a
think is
freaking
maybe
amazing. That is that coming out this
such a
year?
good show. Season two, I don't know.
I don't think so.
I
If
know
it
it's
was, that would be my
it's
most anticipated thing of the year, probably.
that that would be a really anticipated. We didn't really get. I think we're basically out of time. I thought this might be a shorter episode. We didn't really get to movies or TV. We'll have to do that on another one, but another episode. But I'm excited for Invincible season two. That comes out later this year. I know that.
Hmm.
Which that was quite good. I don't know if you watched season one of Invincible on Prime Video, but it's very good.
I did not. I just heard it's bloody, right?
It is bloody. Yeah,
Yeah.
there isn't really any. I don't recall there being really any sexual content, but it is quite gory at times. So, Pharaoh is a world building game set in ancient Egypt. Well, that tracks. That name makes sense then.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we should probably movie Scream 6.
No.
What? Are there six of those movies?
Yeah, did you hear that they announced, I think, Toy Story 5 and 6 or 4 and
Five.
5?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, Toy Story 5, yeah. And what did they announce, another Frozen movie or
Yeah,
something?
Frozen 3.
Like Disney is so like creatively bankrupt, it's amazing. Um but um yeah, hey, whatever. People will go see it. Hopefully it's good. But I think we're basically out of time for today. It ended up going a little later than I thought it might, but thank you everyone for hanging out. We had some good time chatting. Mark, thank you, Mark, for hanging out and for sharing your experience on with Galaxy's Edge and Edge and everything there. And I hope you're good with being able to kind of get back into the swing of things and jump into the roundtable discussion in the Discord, y'all, and let us know what are you looking forward to, what are you excited about. Oh, Ant Man, the new Ant Man. The reviews for that have been pretty bad, haven't they? Yeah, I heard Quantumania sucks. So I'm hesitant. Yeah, I don't know. I know the reviews have not been good.
The only thing that I've heard
Which
review wise that's been positive from Marvel is that Wakanda Forever is actually a really good movie.
it's hard for me to know because I feel like because of Chadwick's death, that one was going to get praised regardless. So I don't actually know what to make of that one, but yeah, that one could be good. But I mean, I know Doctor Strange 2 was disappointing.
Oh, so
Thor
bad.
or it was rough. Thor: Love and Thunder, I heard was quite disappointing as well. And then now Quantumania, that's like quite a few in a row that have not been that great from them. So I don't know. They kind of need a hit. Black Panther is greater than Wakanda Forever. Okay.
And I
I
didn't
mean, I'll
love
probably
Black
check out
Panther.
Wakanda Forever at some point. I liked Black Panther, the first one. Yeah. I think it was good.
Holy cow. Dude, there is
2.2 and a half.
so much. I'm just like scrolling through some of the stuff that just the Marvel studio has announced. This is out of
Oh, it's
control.
probably crazy.
New
Oh
Captain
yeah, there's probably.
America movie, Ironheart show, Daredevil show, Echo show, Fantastic Four, Loki season 2, The Armor Wars, Secret Invasion, Werewolf by Night, the new Ant-Man movie. Like, what are they doing?
I don't know. That seems really ambitious given that their last few movies have not been that great. But we'll see. That's part of what
Whew.
I wanted to talk about. We'll save that for another episode, maybe. But I kind of wanted to talk about kind of where Disney's at because Marvel's been kind of struggling. Star Wars, I think, is in a bit of a weird spot right now as well, outside of like Andor and The Mandalorian. So I think they're in some. I think Disney's in a weird spot with some of their properties. I
Have
think
you
it might
watched
be
the new
worth
season
touching
of
on.
Bad Batch yet?
No, I haven't checked that out. I've heard that's good though.
The
I
Bad
need to check
Batch
that out.
first season's really good. I'm actually excited to watch the second season of that.
No, I haven't. I haven't kept up with their animated stuff. I watched some of Rebels. I think that's the last thing I watched that was like Star Wars animated stuff.
Mm.
Um, People just crying and trying to figure out a way to move on from Boseman's death, but in the MCU, 2 hours is a tribute to Boseman. I mean, that's not shocking that that's what they ended up making it. But it also doesn't sound like that great of a movie. I'm sorry for. I mean, I'm obviously sorry for his passing. He was a good actor, but
Mm.
um, anyway, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. Again, thank you, Mark. Come check out things on Discord. Go post in the roundtable discussion. We got some stuff coming up in March. We're going to be doing a bit of a March Madness thing, doing a bit of a bracket voting for the community. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, so for Pastor Mark and for myself, I hope you all have a great weekend. God bless, and we will see you around Discord. All right.
Peace.
See everyone.